Urban legends are modern stories and anecdotes passed around through word of mouth, emails, social media, news outlets, or any channel people use to share stories. They're wrapped in eerie, unsettling details, and the most fascinating part is that many people truly believe they're real. Most of these stories are pure fiction, rumors that no one can ever fully prove. But beneath the fog of completely fabricated tales, there exist legends rooted in real events. And today, we're going to talk about those legends. The Hook Man. This was a legend about a man who carried a steel hook, appearing along the border between Texas and Arkansas in the late 1940s and early 1950s, stalking young couples who parked on a dark stretch of road known as Lover's Lane, a spot famously used for late-night intimacy. The story tells of a couple on a date along a deserted road called Lover's Lane. While they were sitting in their car, the radio reported that a murderer had escaped from an institution, missing one arm and using an iron hook as a weapon. Right after that, they heard the metallic clink-clink sound outside the car, getting closer and closer. Terrified, the two immediately started the engine and fled. Only when they arrived home did they realize that an actual iron hook was tightly stuck to the car's door handle, a sign that the killer had been standing right outside while they were at Lover's Lane. The story spread widely because it hits directly at the fear of being watched, and because it is connected to several real cases. One famous example happened to the couple Cheryl Henry and Andy Atkinson, who were brutally murdered in Houston, Texas in 1990. Due to how gruesome the details are, I won't describe them here. If you're curious, you can look them up online. The Green Man, also known as Charlie No Face, began circulating as a legend in western Pennsylvania, especially around Pittsburgh and Beaver County from the mid-20th century, when locals spread rumors about a glowing green man who wandered at night along Route 351 or near the Green Man Tunnel in South Park. People said that if you drove there at night, turned off your headlights, or honked your horn 3 times, the Green Man would appear out of the darkness. Over the decades, this word-of-mouth folklore became one of Pennsylvania's most famous urban legends. But the truth is entirely different from the eerie stories. The figure behind the legend was actually Raymond Theodore Robinson, born in 1910. At the age of 8, Raymond was severely electrocuted while climbing a power line near the Murado Bridge to check on a bird's nest. The accident left him without eyes, without a nose, with part of his face missing, and without his right arm. From then on, he could no longer perform regular jobs, so he earned money by making leather wallets and belts at home. Because his appearance attracted a lot of attention, Raymond avoided going outside during the day. But he enjoyed taking nightly walks along Route 351, not realizing that anyone who saw him in the dark would be terrified. When car headlights hit his face, it appeared to glow, which eventually led to the nickname Green Man. He was hit by cars multiple times during these nighttime walks, but he rarely gave up the habit. In his later years, he stopped going for walks and lived at the Beaver County Geriatric Center, where he passed away in 1985 at the age of 74. The Body Under the Bed. Appearing from the 1970s to the 1980s around cheap resort areas in the United States, especially in Las Vegas, Atlantic City, and several small towns along interstate highways. The story spread quickly because it was both creepy and disturbingly ordinary. People said that a couple rented a hotel room and noticed a bad smell, but assumed it came from an old room or a broken air conditioner. They tried to sleep through the night, but in the morning, when they asked the front desk to check, they discovered the odor was coming from the mattress itself. And when the staff lifted the mattress, a decomposing body had been stuffed underneath the bed. Over the decades, U.S. police have recorded multiple real cases where bodies were hidden under mattresses, usually by criminals who rented a room, killed the victim, and tried to buy time by stuffing the body under the bed before fleeing. And if you're watching this video in a hotel room right now, you might want to check under your mattress, just in case you've been sleeping with a dead body.
Max Headroom Incident.
On Sunday night, November 22nd, 1987, Chicago viewers were stunned by one of the strangest broadcast signal hijackings in history. The incident began when WGN's sports segment was suddenly cut off and replaced with static and a loud buzzing noise. Moments later, a man wearing a Max Headroom mask, based on the popular AI character of that era, appeared in a flickering, distorted 25-second clip. 2 hours later, the hijacker struck again, this time on the WTTW channel, but with a much clearer and far more unsettling video. The 90-second clip showed the masked figure dancing erratically, mocking a sports commentator, speaking nonsensical lines, and ending with a disturbing, obscene scene. Despite investigations by both the FBI and the FCC, the identity of the masked man and the group behind the broadcast takeover has never been uncovered.
The Man from Taured. One summer day in 1954, at Haneda Airport in Tokyo, Japan, a strange incident took place.
A well-dressed white man caught the attention of customs officials when he claimed to be from a country called Taured in Europe, a nation that did not appear on any map. When asked to point out its location, he confidently placed his finger on the area now known as Andorra and insisted that it was Taured. Unable to explain the situation, Japanese officials held him in a hotel room under strict guard. Yet the next morning, the man and all of his documents had vanished without a trace, turning the story into one of the most famous urban legends about a lost traveler from a parallel universe. But the truth is, the man was actually John Allen Kuchar Zegras, an international con artist arrested in Tokyo around the 1960s for using a passport from a fictional country to cash forged checks. Recently, a similar story has gone viral on social media. A woman presenting a passport from a country called Terenza, another nation that doesn't exist. Many people were confused, but analysis shows it is purely a product of artificial intelligence, from the passport images to the airport scenes, all digitally created.
Black Eyes Children. Journalist Brian Bethel, who owned a website dedicated to mysterious phenomena, published a story that shook the entire American paranormal community. Bethel said that around 9:30 p.m., while he was driving to a parking lot in Abilene, Texas, to drop off his internet bill, he suddenly heard a soft tapping on his car window. When he looked up, he saw two boys, about 10 to 14 years old, standing beside the car. Bethel referred to them as Boy 1 and Boy 2. Boy 1 was confident, speaking in a low, steady, articulate manner like a young adult, while Boy 2 was timid, constantly glancing around in fear. As Bethel was about to greet them, Boy 1 smiled and politely asked for a ride to their mother's house so they could get money to buy movie tickets. What sent chills down Bethel's spine was the boy's voice. It didn't sound like a child at all. It was mature, too calm, too deliberate, and the longer he observed them, the more he felt something was wrong in the stark contrast between their behaviors. When Bethel looked directly at their faces, he saw that their eyes were completely black, solid darkness like a bottomless pit. Instantly, he felt an overwhelming sense of danger. Bethel shifted gears and sped away in panic. When he looked back through the rearview mirror, the two children had vanished without a trace. Bunny Man is a famous urban legend in the state of Virginia, USA, originating in the early 20th century. The story says that in 1904, a bus carrying prisoners from the Lorton Asylum crashed near the Fairfax Woods. Two inmates escaped, but only one of them was found, dead and torn apart. The other, named Douglas Griffon, disappeared and was believed to have gone insane, living like a wild animal in the forest. After that, people began finding rabbits that had been mutilated and hung along the bridge, like a warning. The legend claims that Griffon wore a rabbit costume, carried an axe, wandered through the forest, and attacked anyone who went near the area. He was said to have been hit and killed by a train on the bridge, which is now known as Bunny Man Bridge. This legend is partly based on a real incident in which a soon-to-be-married couple was parked near the bridge when a man in a rabbit suit suddenly attacked them. Although there is no verified evidence, the area is still considered a truly haunted spot in Virginia, and every Halloween, hundreds of people visit just to see whether the Bunny Man will appear again. Toxic Lady is the nickname given to Gloria Ramirez, one of the most mysterious and widely discussed cases in modern history, which occurred in 1994 at Riverside General Hospital in California. She was admitted to the emergency room with late-stage cervical cancer. When doctors took her blood, they noticed a strong ammonia odor, a smell similar to urine. While the medical team continued to treat her, a total of 23 staff members near Gloria suddenly became ill, and 5 were hospitalized. Gloria Ramirez died about 45 minutes after arriving at the hospital. An investigation by Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory suggested that she had been using dimethyl sulfoxide, a painkiller, as an alternative cancer treatment. According to this hypothesis, the substance in her body may have been converted into dimethyl sulfate, a highly toxic compound when exposed to air and high temperatures, which could explain the mass poisoning. However, Gloria's family denies that she ever used dimethyl sulfoxide and suspects that the hospital itself may have been responsible for the release of the toxic gas. To this day, Gloria Ramirez's death remains a medical mystery without a definitive answer. Spontaneous human combustion. Spontaneous human combustion is the name given to a mysterious phenomenon in which a person is believed to suddenly catch fire and burn intensely without any external source of ignition. Stories about this phenomenon date back to the 18th century in Europe, where reports described victims being almost completely reduced to ash, leaving behind only bones and a small amount of clothing, while the surrounding objects remained nearly untouched. One of the most famous cases occurred in 1951 and involved Mary Reeser in St. Petersburg, Florida. When she was found, Mary's body had been almost entirely consumed by fire, with only part of a leg and one hand remaining. What made the case even stranger was that the furniture and belongings in her apartment were still mostly intact. Later on, scientists suggested that the cause might be the human candle effect. In simple terms, body fat can act like candle wax. Once clothing catches fire, a slow, smoldering flame can burn the body without spreading throughout the entire room. And those are true. Or not. Urban legends that I collected online. If you like, there will be part 2. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any videos. Hello, and see you again.